Okay, so you've done the few extra steps and we're almost ready to close the entire course. And what that means by closing is sending the information to the InSync, to the administrator, or Vicky in this case, so she can send out the final the official certificate forms to participants. So the first step in this process for you to go back in and make sure that you have the certificate completion assignment all done. So I'm going to go ahead and look at that and view those assignments. And this is an ESP course. This is a really nicely done. You can see that it has list the participants. You can see here it lists all of the CEUs they are awarded and when the emails were sent out, the congratulations emails. So this place I'm ready to go, but I need to make an example of somebody, and I'm going to pick on Brian. Sorry, Brian. Let's just, for the sake of example, let's say that Brian was given an extension. So he was given an extension. Of course, I can't even spell it, Brian. So he's given an extension, so I'm going to leave that note in here. He doesn't have any grades. So this is all ready to go, and when I know this is ready to go, I am ready. I'm going to send this final report to Vicky because we want to make sure the rest of the participants get their certificates and aren't held up by somebody who's been given an extension. So the way I'm going to send the report to Vicky is by going back to the grades. So let me go back. I'm going to scroll down, and again, I'm going to go to the grades. And in the grades, you've seen this before. Here's the grading, and you can see that everything's complete now at this point. I could scroll through and check if I wanted to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and choose an action, and I'm going to export an Excel spreadsheet. Now here's some important tips. I want to make sure that I'm including feedback in the export. And then the grade items to be included, I do not want all of these. This makes for a very long spreadsheet. So I'm going to select none in this case. And then the only one I'm going to select is the certificate completion. We only need to know if you've granted them the CEUs. So this is the only thing I check. So feedback and certificate completion, the only two I want to check. When I submit that, you can see it gives you a little view of what that's going to look like. And this is perfect. We have the names, email addresses, the number of certificate CEUs they're getting, and then our notes on whether we sent emails and the extensions and all this good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and download it. And then when I download it and reopen it in Excel, you'll see that it looks something like this. It lists it all out, and this is the email that I'm going to send to Vicky. Actually, that wasn't the email I'm going to send to Vicky. This is the one I'm going to send to Vicky. And so you can see on this email, again, same thing you've seen, and then I'm going to point out, again, I'm picking on Brian here because I need an example. So you can see that Brian was not given a full CEUs in this example, but we're going to go back to that. I'm going to go ahead and create an email, send it out to Vicky, since she's the administrator, and that's going to trigger her to send out the beautiful certificates. I'm also going to copy Anna, that's me, because that's going to trigger me to do an ISET audit on the course. So those are the two people that I'm going to attach that file to. You can see I've named the email according to the name of the session. I'll attach the file and then I'll send that out. Then what's going to happen is you got to kind of make a note in your diary, in your calendar, to go back and check up on anybody who has not completed their work. So in this case, it's Brian. Oh, I get to pick on Brian again. So let's say Brian does come through and finishes up his final paper or whatever he was granted. So now I can go back in and I can again grant him the full credits, and then I can say email sent. In this case, it was sent 10/5. And now I need to go through those steps again. I again need to go back to my grades. I need to create another Excel spreadsheet export. I need to make sure I'm including feedback and only including the certificate completion. That creates this beautiful item, which again I'm going to download. And then here's the trick here. At this point, I want to make sure I open it in Excel, and I want to highlight the fact, let me pull the proper one here. I want to highlight the fact that the new person now is Brian. Brian needs to be sent a Brian needs to be sent a certificate because he hasn't got one yet. So I'm going to highlight that one and save it. And then I'm again going to create a new email, except this time I'm going to attach the newest, oops, sorry about that. I'm going to attach the newest spreadsheet. And when I've done that, it'll trigger again Vicky and myself to go in and check the it'll trigger Vicky to send Brian the updated certificate and me to do an ISIT audit. All right, lots of tracking, so it's really important for you to manage as producers to manage all the tracking. This is probably the hardest part. You want to make sure that you put dates in your calendar so you can follow up and check up on these kind of things. All right, let me know if you have questions.